Welcome to First and Main, the City of Winston-Salem's podcast about the staff and the programs that serve the Twin Cities residents each and every day. Today, I have been joined by Jeff Fansler, the Director of Transportation, and we're going to talk about that new parking app that everybody is commenting on. It's all over socials and everything else. And we're going to talk about some of those construction projects that Jeff and the Transportation Department have going on to try to make City of Winston-Salem a little bit better and easier to get around in. So if you guys are with me, stick around. We're about to get into it. Okay, guys, I am joined here today by our Transportation Director, Mr. Jeff Fansler. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I got a couple of little questions, but before we get into the real questions, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for the City of Winston-Salem?
Yes, I can. I appreciate that. So I'm Jeff Fansler. I have the great pleasure of being the Director of Transportation for the City of Winston-Salem. I have an electrical engineer degree. I started designing traffic signals and fortunate to be under some great leadership and manage to work my way through the department and have the great pleasure of leading the team, the projects, and all the work that we do in transportation.
Okay. Traffic lights?
Traffic lights. That's where the origin story starts.
That's kind of cool. So you went from like red to yellow to green or green to yellow to red?
Depends on which way you're going.
Okay, either way. All right, so let's jump into the hot topic of the day,
Sure.
Okay? This new parking app. You guys slipped that in on us, but you gave us a heads up. Can you kind of break it down for us about the cost of the parking, how difficult it is to learn the app, or, is it going to affect businesses downtown?
So that's a lot to unpack. You know, we've been historically a dated parking control system in our downtown area, single space meters, coin meters. Yeah. A lot of mechanical moving parts that were hard to maintain and frankly, outdated to the point where we couldn't maintain them. And so we spent a lot of money, a lot of time, effort subsidizing and trying to limp those systems along. And what we found through a parking study and then ultimately some benchmarking peer cities that we need to right size our parking system.
That's what's up.
So we went out and we did some competitive proposals and reviewed those and found a better provider. And we chose to go with a modern mobile device technology that allows us to interface our parking system with a mobile device.
Okay, cool. So, is there a phone number that you could call if you have trouble navigating through the app?
So there's two main ways to interface with the app. What we prefer is that you download the app. So you may go to Google Play, or the App Store, and simply download the Pay by Phone app. It's very user-friendly. It prompts you to enter your vehicle and then enter how long you might choose to stay and pay for that and reserve that parking time. The second option, also displayed on the parking signs you find in the block, is to call the toll-free number where you could reserve your parking space via toll-free number. So those options exist. Should you not choose to want to download the app, you can simply call. And those are some options that we want to provide to make as much use of our parking space as attractive as we could to invite folks to park downtown.
That's kind of crazy. So there is a phone number you can use to reserve a space downtown as well as just using the app when you find your own space.
That's right. And that was intentional to make sure folks had that option.
That's what's up. I like that. Well, thanks for sharing that. Now, let's get into some of these new traffic pattern signs and all this new traffic stuff. Give me some of this activity happening on the Salem Parkway, man. Clarify some things. Help us out.
Well, there's a lot going on Salem Parkway. We have a major bridge that's going in. So if you spent much time driving past the ballpark area, you might have seen the new pedestrian bridge that's going in along Salem Parkway. That's part of our multi-use path project, which will ultimately connect Green Street and that area at the ballpark, and really even Peters Creek Parkway just to the west, all the way back to the strollway. And so this is really a phase one project where we're going to develop and build this multi-use path. It'll provide some east-west connectivity, allow folks that maybe want to access downtown another choice as opposed to taking a vehicle. So we're excited about this project. A lot of construction work still to happen, but we're excited to deliver this project this year.
I hope people can cross to the street safely now with all this new stuff.
Well, one good thing about this facility is it's completely separate from traffic. So this allows you not to have to navigate directly adjacent to traffic. We've designed this specifically to run as a separate facility where you can have that confidence as a multimodal user, bicycle, pedestrian, maybe a stroller, wheelchair, whatever, that you don't have to interface near as much with the moving vehicle traffic.
Cool. That's smart. That's real smart and safe. So word on the street is, well, I heard through the grapevine that there are some things happening on Main and Liberty downtown. Now, it was already confusing when they made the first change. Y'all adding some more adjustments?
So you're right.
Okay.
One of the things going on too, and so if you've been traveling anywhere downtown, especially on Liberty, Maine, you've noticed some heavy construction going on, particularly south of Salem Parkway.
Yeah.
That's part of our Liberty, Maine two-way conversion project. And so if you remember, a few years ago, we did 1st and 2nd Street two-way conversion.
I remember that.
Well, that was part one of a two-part project, and that was ultimately to also do Liberty, Maine as a two-way conversion. So why do that? Why do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think the reason for that is we did a study back when we reconfigured Salem Parkway, and we said, okay, we're changing the interchanges, we're changing how you access downtown.
Yeah.
How will that affect downtown streets? And what we found is that, well, we have a lot of dated one-way, high-capacity, 3 lanes in one direction, high-speed corridors, and we thought, you know what? Now that the interchanges are moving, let's promote more walkability. Let's promote maybe some more two-way circulation to folks can navigate businesses and ingress and egress a little bit, maybe more efficiently. And so we introduced this concept, and it was voted on by City Council, approved, funded, and we're working on it now.
Y'all working hard too. I just drove past that on my way in here, and let me tell you something. It was fun to navigate.
That project will convert Liberty, Maine to two-way traffic from Brookstown, really from Old Salem, all the way to Martin
I saw
Luther
that.
King. That's right.
We can still pass the teapot.
You can.
You can. That's what I was hoping for. Okay. What about the crosswalks that you guys are doing over on University and Coliseum?
So that's another project that we have had some back and forth with. And what do I mean by that? Well, one of the nuances there particularly is that University Parkway is a MCDOT corridor, not City of Winston-Salem corridor. And so anytime you bring in another party like that, it complicates. And really, we have to make sure that we're aligning our initiatives with state initiatives. Long story short, is we've looked at a comprehensive pedestrian treatment there for a little while that included geometry changes to that intersection. What we landed on was there was too many impacts to vehicle traffic, too many impacts to the overall flow of a very high traffic corridor. And so what we found is that we wanted to take a step back, redesign the intersection for traffic signal improvements. And so what we funded and what we will be moving forward with are comprehensive pedestrian traffic signals. So essentially, a pedestrian can navigate the area, cross the intersection by the push of a button, and allow them to navigate the intersection that way, as opposed to any other geometry changes.
So are they going to still need to have a little patience when they push the button and wait for the little...
Yeah, so that's a large intersection. We've got to make sure there's time associated for safe crossing.
Right.
And so the pedestrian could experience a little delay as they wait for the proper walking indication.
Okay, well, you got a lot going on transportation-wise. Between the new app coming in and people trying to navigate that, now we got to learn how to re-navigate downtown and other areas. That's a lot going on transportation-wise.
Well, I've got a good staff.
You do.
I've got good leadership, and I think we're happy to provide the services that we provide. So we ask for patience, we ask for some resolve, and we'll deliver to the best of our ability.
And can the community have some kind of forum or a space where they can give you some feedback on how these changes are affecting them or whatnot?
Yeah, so our office and our main lines are always open. We encourage folks to utilize CityLink to the best that we can. And then, of course, we have direct managers over a parking program. We have direct managers over these projects. And so we invite folks to interface with us to ask questions because we hope that we deliver the right product for the folks that will use it.
Yay, cool beans. Can you tell me a little bit about any of the new DOT issues, projects, or things you guys got coming up?
Yeah, one of the things I think is really important for us to be aware of and for the community to be aware of really is Winston-Salem DOT is right now embarking on a major comprehensive transportation plan update. We're going to look at all modes of transportation, and we're going to project our needs out to calendar year 2050. And we're really going to document the overall transportation demand and need for all modes through this comprehensive transportation planning effort. So there are a number of public engagement sessions. There's a number of, a lot of information that we published about this comprehensive plan update. And one takeaway we want the public to know is to plug in, get the information, tell us what infrastructure needs you may want to see in your community and how it could benefit your quality of life, and tell us how we can improve this city. So plug in and let us help us make this comprehensive plan something we can all embrace.
Jeff, that's what's up.
That's
you
right.
rock. Well, that feels like a good note to end it on. Jeff, thank you for taking time out to educate me and the listeners on these projects. And I want to thank you for joining us here on First and Main. With every episode, we hope to keep you informed about how your government is working to serve all its residents. If you'd like to learn more about these topics we discussed today, check out the links in the description, or you can visit cityofws.org/firstandmain. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to our feed or just search us up and subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform. You'll find us under First and Main. If you have ideas for future episodes, we want to hear from you. Email us those ideas at First and Main. First and Main at cityofws.org. That's how you can do it. Until next time, I'm Brandii Little, reminding you that when we work together, Winston-Salem thrives.